Childhood, growing and developing years of a person, this is meant to be a highly important time to create morals, fundamentals, and skills necessary to be a success. Instead, the trauma CPS creates in these young minds set a path of disaster, and statistics prove it. In nearly 90% of their cases, the trauma is unnecessary. Time is the one thing that can never be given back. CPS takes away moments in life that can't be replaced. The time just keeps going, doesn't mean a thing anymore. They left as children, and it's up to them when they come home if they know who you are. Each second away is time you will never get back and keep getting older.
Studies are leading towards incarceration.
Now comes the honorable judge in the halls of justice, where the Constitution will hold strong, and your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness will trample CPS for all they have done to your child.
The truth and corruption that's revealed to you is enough to make you sick. This is not America we were sold.
Children are being taken from families at the rate of one a minute. It needs to be stopped.
It's time to wake up and abolish CPS.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
We need to stop CPS and abolish CPS.com is leading the way. Join us.
All right, everybody, it's Thursday night. This is CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I am your host, the CPS Punisher. As usual, we have the chat right over here on the side to the right. Thank you, Vinny. Here's the chat right there. Boom. Boom. Fighting with Vinny. Vinny and I are fighting. We're fighting. Chat's right there. Boy, there's a lot going on in this world right now, and it is getting crazier and crazier and crazier. We're hearing more and more news about the foster kids being left outside in the cold. We're seeing what the foster system is really doing to the kids that are in CPS custody. We're just seeing a lot of stuff, and we're going to take a look at a lot of stuff tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on here in Maine. I've always been clear said as the day is long, as Maine is the snake's head for the CPS issue. You can go back and listen to it on my podcast. That's Our Daughter. I talked about it there. Maine is dirty, people. Maine has been stealing kids for a long time, and they've been getting away with it because everybody just lets them sit up here as their own little land. It's their own little place. Nobody's going to bother anybody up here. But you know what? POTUS is traveling around with his crew, and they're coming. You, Janet Mills, they're coming for you. This all being said, let's bring on my boy Vinny. Let's see what he has to say tonight. There's Vincent. Hello, Vincent.
Mulder. Yes,
What you
POTUS
thinking, Vinny?
is traveling. POTUS is on the move to New York, guys.
So he's going to make a statement.
Oh yeah. He warned them, don't violate Title IX, and don't lie to the FBI. Well,
Man, I'll tell you what, they're just machines, man. They're machines. But Vinny, do you feel like that CPS is getting scalded enough, or do you think that they're not being scalded, or are we all just hoping that this is the direction that they're going to go?
I don't know. I don't think that they're really digging in. I mean, yeah, they I was reading an article a couple days ago that they are in fact Doge is actually looking into Title 4D. So it is on their radar. And we all know that Title 4D is connected to Title 4E.
Right. Well, I mean, you got child support, and then you have, the other supports that these families are getting. Say hi to your mom there, Vinny.
Hi, Mom.
She's watching us. She's becoming quite a fan, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good to get
right, Tammy. Portland to Portland for sure. Portland to Portland. Man, there's just I just don't feel like they're saying enough about Child Protective Services and how they are how they're going to help us against that. That's what my concern is. Like, everybody's hot and heavy because RFK took the DHHS spot, and everybody thought sure that this was going to be a no-brainer. But again, I must reiterate to everybody, this is the heartbeat of America. Child trafficking is the heartbeat of America. This is how we fund our country, man.
Yep.
And this is where it gets dangerous for us to talk about this stuff, but this is the facts. I mean, for every little kid that you get taken, there's millions of dollars on their head. Millions. By the time everything's said and done, no matter what department it's from, where it's from, how it's done. And we need to remember at these times, make sure that we go back to the basics. Be at the basics, man. If CPS comes to your house, you don't do what, Vinny?
You don't let them in your door without a warrant or court order.
That's right. You don't have to speak to them. You don't have to tell them anything. You don't have to do shit. They're trying to contract with you. Unless there's a court order on it, it doesn't matter. You guys need to remember
You can tell
this.
you and you can tell the cop, listen, these people are coming to harass me. I want an order of trespass put on them, and have that cop trespass them.
Yep.
You have that right, especially if it's on private property.
That's right. Make sure you have no trespassing. If you have kids, put no trespassing signs up in your yard. In Maine, I think it's every 50 yards that they have to be 50 feet, maybe 50 yards.
We got 3 of them. We got one on the further pole, and then we got one on the tree, and then we have one somewhere else. And I got more to put up.
Every 100 feet, my wife says that they're supposed to be. Make sure you do that, because that means that these people can't step foot on your yard. They can't come on your property. It's a cheap investment to make to protect your kids. If you have a fence, put a fence up. Put a thing in front of your driveway, one of those gates or something. Put one of those in front of your driveway. Because believe it or not, they still do respect boundaries for whatever reason. They don't respect anything else, but they do respect boundaries. It's just It's just the things that we have to do until these things can get sorted out. But it sounds like people are trying to sort things out. But I've seen the same scuffle. I've been through a cycle of presidency, so I see how it works at the beginning, and I see how it works, and everybody's excited, and they're thinking that this new president's going to do something, and so on and so on, and then we just end up. I mean, the closest one to it was Trump back in not 2022, but or 2021, but before that, his first presidency anyway was 2020. When was that? Jesus Almighty, 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were primed for corruption in 2015. We rated a big fat F in Maine.
Yeah, well, they're not doing a lot of things up here. They're not doing a hell of a lot of things.
And we've had all the people that California didn't want come over to Maine.
Yeah, well, it used to be Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
So for us up here, anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's just we're gonna have to buckle down and hope that they don't come in and retaliate or try to do some sort of a one last surge on the kids. My biggest fear is that they're trying to rope us all in to falsely be giving them our information or whatever, and then running off with them, or something like that. Like, that's the one thing that scares me about this whole situation is what if they're doing that stuff? What if they're just trying to lead the lambs to the slaughter here? Because why is this? Why is CPS not an issue? Why is it that no homes are talking about this? Why isn't it that this isn't on the front page of every paper? Why isn't it that this isn't on the back of the milk cartons with the kids? As far as I know, you have Vincent Davis, which is the best attorney for this stuff. You have him, that is the lawyer that advocates and comes out there for us. And then, you have Malibu Dallas, that's a well-known advocate. And yeah, there's a lot of others like Connie Reguli, which is the originator of this stuff. I like to say the guru herself. We have these weapons and they're just not being used the way that they should be being used.
Yep. And why is it that you could say something to anyone or post out to the news and they just ignore it?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Why when you say to a news channel, why ain't parental rights and child trafficking being brought up, they're fucking ignoring.
Well, because they kind of have to.
But they shouldn't be ignoring it because it is a crisis across all of the United States and across the seas.
Well, man, oh man, I don't know. It goes from one end of the world. Where is our loyal listeners from over the seas been? I wonder. I haven't heard from them in a while.
Miss Clearwater sometimes she came in a couple nights ago.
Did she?
I haven't heard from Durham at all.
Hopefully he's okay.
I wonder if they silenced the shit out of him.
You freaking! I hope not, man. I really hope not. He's a good guy. Wow.
I just proved that CPS don't care. Lady left her 3 young children home alone, and red flag there had to be. Yeah, they didn't care, Debbie. They didn't give a shit.
Right.
And that's the fucked up part is, these people that do that shit to their kids, okay, and never get looked at until the final end when someone actually notices, and then they do something.
Mm-hmm.
Or they leave kids with, parents that abuse narcotics, and they don't take their kids.
Right.
There's something wrong with this picture. Why are they targeting the lower class citizen?
Well, because there's no money. There's no money to be fighting with them. You know what I mean? We don't have the money to tie them up in the courts, so they think, or we don't have the smarts to hold them back in their court proceedings, and not allow them to, file a motion to suppress or do any of these things. This is why we got to research it ourselves and always research it. We're not a Oh man, what's the word I was looking for? We're not real lawyers here. We are. It's our opinion. Journalists,
Journalistic,
yeah, journalistic.
journalistic advocate.
Yeah, we're using our opinions, people, to sell our stories, to talk about our stuff. So just make sure you do your own research on anything that we talk about. Um, always do your own research. There's a pretty good book out there called CPS is Stay Calm, CPS is Coming. I believe you can get it on Amazon, and it's a good read. It's a bit long, but if you have CPS in your life, or you have somebody that could possibly have CPS in their life, mothers and daughters and uncles and brothers and sisters and all of these people, um, get the book. Definitely get the book. So that's what I say about that one, Vinny.
Yep.
Have you read my book, Vinny, yet?
I have. I mean, I have your hard copy, so
Yeah.
like,
What'd you think of it?
I think it's great knowledge. It's packed with a lot of information that these parents should be looking into, and it would save them a hell of a headache. That's for sure.
For real. For real, it would have, or will have.
Tammy, I'm learning a lot from you. Yeah, well, that's good, Tammy. You just got to learn to get off YouTube so much, because the YouTube videos aren't always up to date. Some of them are like way out of date, Tammy. You gotta broaden your horizon, honey.
Yep.
That is for sure.
It just proves that CPS don't care that the lady loved the 3 young children at home. Oh yeah, that was earlier on the Tiff and the Punisher show. We showed that. Did you see that? The lady that left the children at home for 5 years, 5 freaking years, man. That's disgusting. How the hell do you leave children home for 5 freaking years? And there's a lot more people involved in this than just the parents. I mean, how do you get food and all of that stuff to them? How do you get any of that stuff? You know what? Do they have DoorDash come every day, or what happens there?
And to find them living in human feces and all kind of, like, that is ridiculous. No one thought to check in on these kids sooner.
Yeah, I mean, it's a I don't know. That's what I would think, and especially if it was a Section 8 place, right? Because I don't know if it was or not, but I'm going to go under the assumption that it possibly was, or at least they call it working class. Jesus Christ, what is it called? Working man's homes or working class incentive. I don't know, but I wish they would help them too. Like help. Help everyone. Help everyone. That's what it's all about too. Is making sure that everybody is on each other's side, that we have each other's backs, that we're standing up for one another. Even that way, when one of us are down, we can feel the strength of somebody else picking us up. Like there's no better feeling in the world than that. Well, there's one, but there's no better feeling in the world than making sure we're all packing it up. That's facts.
Right. That's correct.
Yes, there sure is. Correct, sir.
Wow, I haven't seen Herbert. Gunner was in here. Where'd you go, Gunner? Did you disappear on us?
Yeah, was Gunner coming in there?
I don't know what Gunner's doing.
Yep. What is he doing? Gunner, you coming in here or what? Gunner.
Or are you gonna be a bump on the log tonight, Gunner? That reminds me, I gotta take my gummies.
That just reminded you?
Yeah. Gotta take my ashwagandha.
Yeah. How many of those do you get a day?
2 a day.
That's freaking cool. Let's see. Family Court Fraud.
Family Court Fraud Warrior Project. Found it from a lady I follow.
Thank you, Debbie. That's very kind.
I know, Tammy, you stay on YouTube a lot. I don't know how many thousands of links you've sent me.
Yep. I know she's been a very good source of information this past, I don't know, year and a half.
And she's a well follower. She's almost in every single one of our channels.
What else?
Darren,
What else?
oh, we were gonna play that video I
Oh yeah,
sent you
that's right.
so
Let's get
everyone
the
can see
video
it.
up here, buddy. Which one was it, Vinny?
It's in your
Here's
messenger.
my messenger. Here's my messenger.
Oh, there's corruption all over.
Did you tell everybody
Without a doubt.
tell everybody about what they said about your thing tonight, Vinny?
Oh yeah. So I received a message from my criminal attorney Corey, because I basically like told him about himself and told him that if he's not going to defend my constitutional rights, that I want him to take himself off my case. Well, he replied and he said, I understand where you're coming from and I see what you're talking about. And you are exactly right. We can change the venue due to them putting you out to the media.
Right.
So we are going to file a motion for change of venue for when it comes time for a trial.
Wow, that's freaking awesome. Hopefully they accept it, right? Like they don't have to accept it, right? Or do they have to?
No, I think they have to, because without a shadow of a doubt, we can prove that they put me out to the local media.
Right. I mean, that's easy, right? Just go Google your name.
I have it, and now he has it because I sent it to him.
Right. So you didn't say anything that was all threatening or derogatory or none of that.
Nope.
Nope. Here we go. Facebook, right? Share.
Yep.
All right. Brings me to Newsmax. Which one am I playing here, Vinny?
The one with Laurel.
Second one in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Watch Newsmax 2 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
From your favorite Newsmax top. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. All right.
It's under. It's. Yeah. It's the. No, it's. Where the hell is it? It's the one that says Maine. It's from 2 hours ago.
Okay.
It's down a couple. Past Pam Bondi and President. It's right below the emoji one. So that's from Maine State Representative.
Yes. All right. For Maine State Representative. Dr. Van Drew down. U.S. Trusted Media.
Oh yeah, Albie. They outed me to the fucking news station.
Who did?
The DA's office. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking
Not
for you, Vinny. Democrats' new platform.
It's
strip people's freedoms.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 one down on Newsmax.
There's Greta. Hello, Greta, New York governor. Waiting in line to get one of President Donald Trump's gold card visa applications. This is a veteran.
Try the link I just sent you,
Okay,
Dan.
try
That should get you right to it.
All right. Okay. There we go. Yep. Got me right to it, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yep. Yes, sir. All right, here we go. Let's see. Uh-oh.
Woke ideology, I cannot believe they're still going, even despite the fact it likely cost them the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives in November. They're still conducting it. And it seems like to me, Democrats have become way too comfortable with stripping people's freedoms away if you don't agree with their agenda of worshiping woke ideology. I cannot believe they're still going with this. The latest case, you may have heard about it. It occurred up in the state of Maine, where they continue to allow men playing in women's sports. So here we go. Maine Representative Laurel Libby is leading the fight back against the insanity. But now she's been censured and lost her right to cast a vote in Maine's state house. Think about that. She is an elected state representative, and she sees an issue going on, and she's speaking out about it. And now she's had her right to speak on the House floor there and vote on behalf of her constituents. This isn't just an attack of civil liberties on her. It's on the people who have entrusted her to represent them when it comes to state matters. Libby and everyone in her district are being told to shut up and do as you're told by the Democrats of their state, because they are hell-bent on implementing woke into society. Democrats are stripping away Mainers' rights to have a say in things, and I think this needs to be called out, don't you? So let me take you through what has happened again just real quick. Libby made a post on social media calling out the fact a man beat a bunch of women in their pole vaulting high school championships. There's the post. You can see. Notice anything a little weird about it? A trans girl kind of looks like a guy. It's a guy. Pretty different. Pretty different physically, huh? Bigger, stronger, muscular. Bigger than the other two girls. Way bigger. Anyways, the Democrat Party threw the book at her. Libby tried to defend herself with a speech on the Maine House floor yesterday, and here's how it started.
My speech does include some background to this post and the events thereafter. So I hope I will not be silenced during the middle of my speech.
There you heard. She asked not to be interrupted. Well, how do you think that went? Let's look.
Over the last 6 years, the chief executive and legislative Democrats have done as they pleased, ignoring the will of the Maine people.
Yeah.
The member will defer. The chair will recognize the representative from Portland, Representative Moonen, and inquire to his point of order.
Okay, there you hear. She was interrupted right out of the gate and many times after, so you get the point. Maine Democrats went on to vote 75-70 against Libby, and she's now no longer allowed to speak on the floor or vote until she apologizes. She has to apologize. Kiss the Democrat ring, bow down, or you can't be a lawmaker anymore. I think this is dangerous. I think a lot of what we've seen from Democrats is dangerous, though. And here's the funny part. They are arguing that the reason Libby is being punished isn't for speaking out about this issue. It's because the post Libby made was that of a minor and showed their picture, a public picture, mind you. But I'm not buying that. I think it's because light is being shed on the fact that in Maine, men are still being allowed to compete against women. And now everybody, it's in the national spotlight. But like I said, go against Democrats when they have power and you just might face punishment. I think the perfect example of that is everything we've seen done to President Trump and his allies, but many others have faced punishment as well. How about the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams? He spoke out against the migrant crisis. That was a woke thing. He was hit with a federal case. But there's more. How about parents at school board meetings?
Ooh.
They had the FBI come after them. How about pro-life advocates who prayed outside of abortion clinics? They were arrested, and Trump, after he got into office again, he had to come in and pardon them. I mean, look at the state of Iowa Capitol today. This was it, taken over by trans activists. Why? Their lawmakers are beginning to remove woke gender stuff from law out there, and that's the reaction. Go in there, storm it, and take over the Capitol. Like I said, this has all gone too far, and the left is too comfortable with going after people who don't agree. And here, I'll say it, what we're all thinking, this stuff isn't normal. Men playing in women's sports is not normal. How many times are we going to have to watch a guy enter into a women's sporting event and completely dominate them? How many times are we going to have to see this? Leah Thomas at Penn goes on to win the race by dozens of lengths. Crush him. How about dominating in women's basketball just as well? There's a guy ripping a girl to the ground. This is ludicrous. How about dominate in a track and field race? Why do we have this going on in the United States of America, or like up in Maine at a pole vaulting competition just as well? I wonder how we got here sometimes. You know, when I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, this kind of crap wasn't even on the radar. It was nowhere to be found, but I'll take a stab at it. It was happening behind the scenes. After years and years of shoveling DEI garbage into every facet of our lives, schools, businesses, everything, which Trump and Doge is weeding out, this is the result now. But now the people who had to learn this stuff and were indoctrinated into it, they are adults. And they've become, in some cases, lawmakers, like in the state of Maine. And they don't think it's a big deal to strip an elected state representative's rights away when she speaks out. This stuff has got to go, everybody. And I think part of the problem is more people don't speak up about it, but they're starting to. They're starting to have more courage. And Laurel Libby from the state of Maine is someone who is, and she joins us again tonight. Laurel, thanks for coming on. Good to see you. I was just with you here on Finnerty on Monday. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely. So talk about it. On Monday night, before we left, I said, don't quit fighting, keep pushing. But now your fight has got a lot bigger in your state. Talk about what they've done to you and the steps you're trying to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, bullies are pretty predictable. And so as anticipated, Speaker Ryan Fecteau and the Democrat majority did censure me. And they have declared that I cannot vote or speak on the floor until I apologize. But if there's one thing that I know about bullies is you don't back down. And so I have no intention of backing down from this fight and will continue to speak up for Maine girls.
You know, I was thinking about this apology they want you to have to make. Who deems that it's a good enough apology? You know, like when you're young, you're growing up, you do something wrong and you apologize to your parents or something. That's not good enough. They're like, they are belittling you so much. Guy up there on the podium that put this against you.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a meeting with Speaker Fecteau before the censuring as they laid out how this would go down. And when I ended the meeting, I told Speaker Fecteau that he would go down in history as the man who silenced a woman for speaking up for girls. And he didn't love that, but that's the fact. And three guesses who has to approve the apology.
I would guess him. It would be him. Yes. Yeah. Unbelievable there. I don't feel bad just for you. I commend you for what you're doing. I know you have a tremendous fight ahead of you, but it's your constituents just as well. You are their state elected representative. You are their voice. So if some votes come through your House floor here and you're not there, you can't cast your ballot. They've had their civil liberties taken away from them by this happening. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, they absolutely have. You know, I have 9,000 or so constituents in my House district who are now left voiceless. You know, this is so typical of Augusta Democrats. They want to silence Maine girls. They want to silence my constituents and firm up their majority. Frankly, this is a big help to them. They only have a slim majority in the first place. And so this just helps them in so many ways.
I read you said that Democrats underestimate how big of an issue this is to Americans. I do not. I think this is a major issue just morally as a country, having a sane and moral country. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's such a concrete issue of fairness. And Americans and Mainers understand that. The vast majority of the population in our country believes that biological males should not be participating in girls' sports. That is hard and fast. And I found that to be quite true in Maine as I hear feedback from folks. Our local paper in my area just published a news piece outlining that I'm firmly backed by my constituents, and this is in mainstream media. The people on the street interviews say they are against the censuring, and they don't believe that biological males belong in girls' sports.
Democrats, too. I think you've spoken with Democrats who have no guts in your state right now that don't want to come up. Because you go against woke, and if they have any little bit of power, I said in the opening, they'll try and wield it against you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the Democrats have made a pretty major misstep here. And I don't think they understand how many folks within their own party, everyday Mainers, don't support this agenda that they're advocating. I've heard from a lot of Democrats within our state who don't support biological males in girls' sports and don't support that agenda. So I think they're wildly out of touch with the population in our state.
Oh yeah, that's it. I mean, that's a roundabout way of getting into that stuff, but you know what I mean. But we're getting somewhere.
Yep.
No doubt about it. And Maine's getting ready to rock and roll. You know, they can't cry and whine about the gender, you know, like because we're stopping them with that gender transformation stuff, their agenda there, and now it's this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, dude. That kid was clearly a man. And why should some woman have to be, first of all, put up against the unfair strengths that they have? But secondly, the kids in the locker room with them too. That's where I get more and more weird by that stuff. You know, like, come on, there's places that you can and can't be in. And there's right and wrong, and that's just wrong. You know.
Well, see, and here's the bigger part to that no one's hearing is that not only are they doing it within the districts of the schools, they're doing it with the athletes as well. And the district schools, the parents are fighting back. On the Maine X community on Facebook, they've been posting all of the board meetings that these parents have been a part of, and students and parents are all speaking out. And the other side is starting to shut down.
Yeah.
Because every parent in this state is outraged at what they're allowing to go on. And I mean, I could play it so you guys can hear it of what they've actually been saying. Let me get to that.
Cool. Let's play. I want to play a little bit of this video right here too, Vinny. This video right here was sent to me by Wendy Thomas, and this shows exactly how CPS gets paid to break up the families. Let's check this one out.
Yeah, man.
It was passed in the late 1970s. This is the cause of the divorce explosion in the 1980s and the creation of. There were no family courts in the early 1980s. They didn't exist. They were created specifically because of Title 4D. Title 4D provides for matching funds for the collection of child support. So I don't know about Virginia, but I know about Texas. In Texas, it's $500 million. It's $480 to $520 million per year. The more child support that's issued, the more money the state gets in reimbursements. The more it collects, the more it gets in reimbursements. The entire Texas Attorney General's office is funded by the child support collection matching funds from Title 4D. Texas actually has a law in the Texas Government Code which requires all judges to rule in cases in such a way to maximize Title 4D reimbursements.
Wow.
Before anything is heard in case. This explains a lot of peculiar things in family court. Family court's known for giving custody to the dysfunctional parent, and they just do it consistently. They do it all the time. I watched a case ahead of mine one time, and they gave 2 children back to a heroin addict mother who had successfully passed the drug test after 15 days for the first time.
Oh my God. Hold on. Before you pay for yet another app to manage your team, let me introduce you to Connecting, the one platform that replaces.
Okay.
What was the
Why
alternative?
would they do that? That makes no sense, right? Everybody goes, nobody in their right mind would do things like, why do they do it? Here's why they do it. The state knows full well it will never collect child support from a heroin addict. And all that matching money, they don't get it.
Got it.
They know that the responsible parent will bankrupt themselves to protect their child and to take care of their child, and they'll get all the matching money for that. So the decision in family court doesn't come down to, are you a fit and willing parent? If that were the case, then in 99% of the cases, you would have both parents getting 50-50 custody because both parents are fit and willing, right? Most abuse is actually much rarer than we think, right?
Yeah.
So abuse and neglect, those are two ends of the spectrum, right? So what they do is they say, which person here will give me the maximum Title IV reimbursement for the state?
Wow.
And that's the person who loses custody so that they pay child support. That's the real calculation that's going on. You mentioned CPS, and if you're looking at laws around this, you need to know about Title IV-E. Title IV-E gives reimbursements for taking children. So when the state takes a child from a family, they get a Title IV-E reimbursement just like Title IV-D. Here's how it works in Texas. You'll get a satellite office in a rural county of Texas that's running low on budget. They'll look for a child to low IQ parents under 18 months of age, but they'll go as high as 2 with no medical problems. And they'll go and take their children. They usually do it through subterfuge. They do a well check and they bring along an extra party that they don't tell the parents or a psychologist. Mm-hmm. The psychologist, unbeknownst to them, is doing a psych eval and recommends taking the children. They take the children. Within 6 months, the child is adopted out, and that satellite office gets $250,000 in budget money. Uh-huh. So there's financial incentives to take children. There's financial incentives to take fathers out of the home. So as a legislature, you have to ask yourself, how do you change the incentives in the bureaucracy? Well, I will submit to you that this is, if you look at the total money in all the states, this is as large as some of the largest defense programs.
Yeah.
And we've never successfully cut a large defense program. That's never happened in
I can
American
tell you
history.
right now, the political palatability the only way this is going to be discussed, there will be no level-headed discussion like we're seeing taking place, right? It will be this idea that you just don't want women to be able to leave abusive situations, or you don't want children to be able to get the proper child support they need. Like, you just don't want that. You're the deadbeat dad supporter. And the problem is, this is always the problem with government trying to fulfill certain functions within society for which it was never truly designed to do. And it's these sort of second and third order effects that we don't get. Is that it sounds great. It really, I mean, think about this on a 50,000 foot level. It sounds great to say, well, of course, we're going to provide funding to, let's say, a smaller jurisdiction, a poorer jurisdiction that doesn't have the resources to be able to intervene and to be able to get a kid out of a dangerous situation, or ensure that children are financially supported by a parent that should be paying child support. It makes perfect sense if you're assuming that this is always going to be operated the way it was intended and only for the purposes that it was intended. Because what you've actually done, and we see this with other welfare programs, what you've actually done is incentivize the state to now engage in certain activities. And we've seen this with COVID spending, we've seen it with welfare spending, we've seen it with everything else. You're not just getting the reasonable use case scenario, you're creating a perverse incentive.
That's right.
Okay, so
if you ever want to know why young men are not marrying, I speak to young men all the time. I get invited to speak to masculinity conferences and so forth. This is what they tell me. They go to church and they get cajoled to get married. They're told that it's their duty, it's their God-given duty. The problem is they have actually witnessed their father's lives become totally destroyed. I talk to lots of young men. They're like, my father lived out of a car for 6 months. Yeah. Because the court look, I don't think, people understand the impact of child support. So in Texas, if you have 2 kids, they're going to take 30% of your gross pre-tax income. Okay. Most businesses could never survive confiscation of 30% of their pre-tax revenues. They would just go out of business. Yeah. I've done the numbers. If in Dallas County, based on cost of living, if you make less than $45,000 a year, you cannot rent a home. You're left with about $800 a month to live on. So it doesn't work. Second thing is, you don't get to deduct that money as childcare expenses. Like that's one area where you could make it back up, as if you had a deduction or a credit. Actually, the mother that you pay gets to deduct it as childcare expenses, not you. Okay. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, like, for example, I've been for 11 years, I have had to submit all of my expenses. Like every credit card expense, every cash expense is scrutinized by an attorney, by an accountant, and by the judge in court, because they want to see if they can get more child support for me.
Yeah.
You permanently lose all financial privacy. I have been told by a judge I had to file a motion to try to change jobs.
Wow.
Because it paid me $10,000 a year less, but made it more geographically convenient for me. The judge said, no, you cannot change jobs.
Wow.
So you lose all of your freedoms once you get into divorce court if you're designated as the one who pays the child support.
Yeah, no, and I've seen this before too, where it's like the positive use case scenario of this is you have somebody that kind of manipulates the system or leaves a job temporarily in order to get a lower rate requirement for child support, and then immediately gets, you know, a higher job or whatever it is, right? Like there's the system can be gamed either way, but you're right. It creates this perverse incentive. Well, and I'll tell you this, I'm a huge marriage advocate, right? I am a ton of my content is about the importance of marriage, the necessity of marriage in society. Yeah. But you're not wrong that here's I'll put it to you the most crass way it was put to me. Nick, please explain to me why I should risk getting married so the government will pay a woman to leave me, take my kids, and I can spend the rest of my life to pay my ex-wife to sleep with another dude.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And that's exactly what young men tell me.
Yeah.
So and remember, married people vote Republican. Yeah. So when young men decide not to get married, you're increasing the number of Democrat voters out there.
I don't have to use multiple apps to accomplish the job. It's the texting of the customer, email confirmations, you can see the schedule, everything's colorized. Every year, House Call Pro is adding more and more things that we're utilizing, from time tracking, GPS tracking, integrates into QuickBooks. You can do your estimates. I mean, there's just so many things that it does for us that a lot of it becomes automatic. It's a win-win.
That is crazy, guys. That is straight up crazy.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do. Day one, he would install Pi on his computer without spending a dime because it's 100% free.
So, and that's not wrong, guys. That is dead accurate, because, you know, I myself, when I was working, I was paying out my ass in child support. They were taking quite a bit out of my check every single fucking week. And it barely left me with like $400 to myself for a week. And I was making anywhere from $600 to $700.
Right.
That's a huge chunk. Plus they charge you to direct deposit from your bank account. So they're taking hidden fees and they're paying these fucking judges and everyone else, and they're keeping the fucking money.
Yeah. And they're artificially putting it in these places like Fort Knox and all that stuff, saying that that's where all of it's kept, and it's really not.
It's despicable what,
it's redistributed.
Right, and it's despicable what women are doing to men by and involving these court systems. Why can't you settle out of court like a decent human being and work on things together instead of fighting with your ex or making your ex pay this extra money? Yeah, sometimes you may get into disputes and whatnot, but if you have an agreement between each other and you have a signed agreement, you should be able to abide by your signed agreement. Right. If you can't, then you involve the law.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right.
Why do women gotta force shit on men like this? This is the problem, and I don't mean no offense to any of you women out there watching. You women think that you have the God's gift and the right to charge men out the ass for child support, bring them into a dysfunctional system, and walk the fuck all over us. And you wonder why we leave you. So, on that note, I want to play you guys what's going on in the X community up here as far as school boards, because I think it's very important that you guys know what exactly else is going on.
When are we going to start thinking about our kids again? When are we going to go back to teaching again? We worry more about same-sex bathrooms and all this than we do worry about our test scores and everything else. When are we going to get back to teaching our kids what is right and what is wrong? And right now, this is wrong. And honestly, you guys are brainwashing these kids. That's exactly what you guys are doing. You're indoctrinating these kids. And I feel bad for every single one of them. Because when I was in school, this was not a thing. You did not walk down the school hallways and see a pride. You weren't celebrating what people did in their bedroom. You don't have a straight flag hanging up, do you? No. Because we don't celebrate what we do in our bedroom. That doesn't make somebody who they are. What makes somebody who they are is their character. You guys have a good night.
Daddy's home. I'm asking you, who made decisions after having your goodwill leveraged against you for years. Who's going to be accountable for lying to you? Who's going to be accountable to lying to these parents? Imagine being told that if you didn't do what your kid wanted, they'll kill themselves, and then finding out 5 years later it was a lie. I'm asking you, who made decisions
there you go.
after having your good
Parents are fed up with this gender ideology, whatever the fuck it's called. This woke bullshit of being transgender throughout our school systems, and them forcing it by allowing these gay homophobic guys to teach our children. There's something wrong within our schools, and I think it's time that we as parents take these kids out of these fucking schools.
Yeah, I agree.
Start teaching them the education that we had: history, writing, cursive, stock market, how to manage a bank account and checkbook, history throughout. They don't get that nowadays. Mathematics in Maine, down the fucking tubes.
Yep. No, it's just
Maine scores way below the national average.
Way below.
We are way below.
Way below. Herbert, what do you think of all this, bud?
I have nothing to really say. I'm listening to Vinny. I just know when you talk about the gays and lesbians, they've always been around since the 1920s and 1930s. They've been teaching in schools since you've been in kindergarten. They were there, but they were not identified. You didn't know who they were. They've always been there. They didn't just come out in the last 3 years or 4 years. They've always been there. So I know, Vinny, I understand your point, but Vinny, they've always been there since the beginning of mankind. They've always been there.
Yeah, they have been there. They have been there, but they haven't.
The only difference is they were sort of in the closet, as you would say. You know, they weren't out in the open.
Right. They weren't pushing their gender onto us.
Oh, they were, but we didn't know they were. But since they got what's the word, protection under the law, now we know they're in our face. Now we know they're in our face. But before that, they were pushing their agenda. You just didn't know it.
You know, you always knew Nancy Pelosi was up to something. That's for sure.
Albie, I'm sorry that happened to you. If a man hits a woman, that man should be in jail.
That man should be dead.
Or had his ass fucking handed to him by another man.
That's the facts right there.
Yeah, my mom appreciates you, Herbert. You don't know. You earn the respect of my mom, Herbert.
That's good. I'm glad she appreciates it.
Well, it's setting up more and more the stage for you to be doing your own show once a week or so, you know?
Yeah, Herbert.
Yeah, I am with what's his name? Florida. Naylor.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris and I we agreed we'll do one.
Oh, really? You and Chris are gonna do one. Even better.
Yeah, it'll be Chris and Hubbard. Yeah.
When you guys starting that, you think, Herbert?
What we would do is similar to what you guys did with the videos, but we would go into the video and break it down into parts and just inch along the video and just talk about pieces and parts of the video.
Yeah, see, even my mom just said it right there. They took sewing out. They don't do anything with blackboards anymore. These are things that we had when we were kids. Everything's done by a goddamn computer now.
Well, it's going to be that way from now on, Vinny.
Yep, it sure is.
They're not going to bring the blackboard back.
They should. Because that's when teaching was teaching.
Yep. That's when you had a notebook and your teacher would have a, expo.
Well, if you tell you what, Vinny, if you bring the blackboard back, then you got to get rid of Google also. And when you get rid of Google, you're going to have to go to the library, to the Dewey Decimal System to find out what things mean. Whereas right now, you could go
but
right.
That's the way.
You're right. That's how it was.
That's the way it should be, though.
Yeah, but they made it now where you and I can go into Google and type in a subject matter and a question and get an answer immediately.
Right. But you don't always get the correct answer like you would out of an actual book.
Well, both the book and Google is subjective. Like it's all subjective stuff. You can't ask medical questions because it's contingent on your body.
Right.
Like, is it good to have salt in your system? Yes, it is. But somebody who's having heart issues shouldn't have salt. Is eating sugary stuff good? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Eat it all the time. But a person who has really bad diabetes, it's not good. So it's all contingent on individuals. And everything we ask questions about with CPS, the answer from Google is contingent on what state. You have to say what state you're referring to.
Yep.
Albie, I got nothing but respect for you. I see you in here all the time. You're always in our shows. You're always talking with us. And you don't have to worry about what you're saying in here to us because we fully understand. We all have been dealt bad hands in our entire lives. Me especially.
Mm-hmm.
So I get where you're coming.
Yeah. He says the processing fee of $50 for using the state child support enforcement actually comes out of the money that is paid to us, $60 a year. What is he referring to?
Yep. She. Albie's a she.
I'm sorry. What is she referring to?
When you pay direct from the child support from your paycheck to the bank to child support and they deduct it out of your bank account, they're charging double. So in other words, they're charging from the time they take it and then they're charging the parent on the other end.
Oh.
They're getting a kickback on a kickback.
I see.
That's how they're making their money to pay for everything to do with judges and their extra incentive. They're using the child support. They're frauding the state, and they're frauding the federal government, and they're frauding the parents.
And frauding the kids that aren't even getting the money that they're supposed to be getting to help support them.
Oh,
right.
So we need to write a letter to GHHS via what's his name?
Yeah, they're pushing kids through that are pretty much dumb nowadays. And it's sickening to think that, our society went from, the fuck around and find out to being so dumb. These kids stay inside on a daily. They don't go outside and play. They don't go out and do like we did when we were kids. They don't play in the damn woods. They don't venture. They don't really hang with their friends. And when they do, they stay in a goddamn house and play video games all day.
Yeah.
Like, this is sickening, guys. We need to get back to the day and age of, hey, you done with your homework? You done with your chores? Go outside and play.
Yeah, pretty much. As soon as you got home, that was it. That was your time. It was like for us, it's 3 to
3 to 12. 3 to 12.
You know, it was like
and that was back when you could have block parties. The cops would come, shut down the block that you lived on, and everyone knew everyone's kids, and everyone watched everyone's kids.
Yep.
Your parents didn't have to worry about shit back then because we didn't have the problems that we have today.
Right.
I'm sure Herbert knows that growing up in New York. New York has become 10 times worse than it is when it was back then.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we agree. Herbert said.
It's straightening. It's going to be straightening itself out now that Trump is in, because he's setting certain guidelines and laws and stuff that New York has to adhere to. So there'll be some differences.
That's funny that my mom just brought that up, because I heard someone say that earlier. The good old days when kids should be seen, not heard. Yeah, really, what happened to that? Parents had the time to relax, get stuff done around the house,
Right.
and not have to worry about kids interfering in what they're doing and listening to our adult conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what it's become, you guys.
Yeah.
Kids are now paying attention to adult conversation that they should not even be listening to.
Yeah.
It's adult conversation. See your way the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Yeah, they charge you a lot, Albie. I get it. Trust me. I know how you feel. But I think we're at that time, guys.
Okay.
Right, Darren?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Herbert, last words.
Sometimes it's the people that's close to you that can bring out the worst in you. So don't ignore the signs. In other words, people that are close to you could bring out the worst in you. So watch carefully. Be aware of the signs of people that act that way towards you. Don't let Herbert in.
And what else?
Don't let CPS in unless we have a warrant to come into your home. We can say whatever we want, and I'm allowed to lie to you. Yes, I can lie to you just to try to get into your home. And if you listen to my lies and allow me in, then I'm in. And anything I see inside your house looks like contraband, I could hold against you.
Yep.
And
but if
you knew better, you would do better.
There you go, Herbert.
There you go, Herbert.
All right, Vinny.
My last words are going to be this, guys. Learn your constitutional rights, starting with your First Amendment, because your First Amendment has more in it than freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. It also covers your undeniable love for your child. So you guys might want to be looking deeper into that First Amendment right, because that First Amendment right and your Second Amendment right speak volume.
Wow, that was deep tonight, Vinny. That was real deep. Right. I'm going to say this. Jesus. Wow, man, I'm at like a loss for words right now for some reason. Well, I don't know. All I'm saying is this: don't give up fighting. Don't get yourselves all don't get your panties in the bunch because you're not seeing the things happen that you want to have happen or happen fast enough. Stay on the course. People are coming. You know, it's like the old days of the you watch these World War II movies and everything. They are coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when, people. So just stay the course. Because they will come for you. So do you know the U.S.
And Darren's got a new
As soon as I get
video.
this lined up, we're going to be out of here. I do, so stay tuned for after the show here, guys. After the finale song, stay tuned, and you'll check out the new video, the new indie video. So, all right, guys. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We'll see y'all tomorrow night, same time, same place.
You waking up now, well, babe, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate. The values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on these streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour and troubled souls, one of God's servants. Black out, cut the grass.
Hey, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, but chose to just neglect it. Deflected by some breaking news, oh, we just accept it. Expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objective, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, blind, not a sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheek. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. One day, one day, one day. One day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth.